Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into your college football week number 6 survival guide, where I go through all of the important things you need to know about college football when it pertains to week number 6. First, we've got the game of the week. I'm going with a noon game, Tennessee at LSU. We're talking about a game that's probably going to be very close. Tennessee right now 3-point favorites. I just think it's going to be a really fun, close noon game. I have Tennessee winning by a field goal late. There should be some offense. I like Hayden Hooker more than Jaden Daniels, and I think Tennessee gets it done and continues their undefeated season. That to me, that's the game of the day. It's going to be the most fun game of the day. The worst game, how could it not be? UConn at FIU. These teams are dueling for the worst team in FBS. I still think it's Hawaii, but we will see. FIU did pick up a big win last week against New Mexico State. UConn, of course. Both of these teams are on one-game winning streaks, I believe. Let the record show. Maybe this should have been my game of the week, but both of them are on winning streaks, but one-game winning streaks. That's not even a winning streak. You got to at least have two, but we'll see. One of these teams is going to be on a 2-game winning streak, and right now, UConn is 4-point favorites on the road, and there's going to be some significant weather impacting this game, guys. There'll be more on that later. Under the radar game, how about North Carolina at Miami? It's a 4 o'clock game, I believe, on the ACC network. North Carolina quietly having a very under the radar year with Drake May putting up crazy stats. Is Drake May Mac Jones 2.0? I don't know. I mean, he's putting up really good stats right now. He's not going to win the Heisman. He's not going to, well, I guess Mac Jones didn't win the Heisman either, but he's not a Heisman finalist, but still, he's having a great season. Miami, they're dead in the water. They lost to Middle Tennessee State. Then they had a bye week. They're completely irrelevant, and it'll be interesting to see the situation at Hard Rock Stadium. How dead will the crowd be? Just a horrible environment. And then the quarterback situation. Will Miami go with Jake Garcia or Tyler Van Dyke? I'm guessing they start Van Dyke personally. The next overrated game, it's got to be this one. It's got to be Texas A&M at Alabama. So if you guys don't know, CBS gets one primetime 8 o'clock game every year. We know how they have the SEC on CBS. It's always at 3:30. They get one 8 o'clock game. They used it on Jimbo versus Nick Saban. Of course, in the offseason, we had the situation with Nick Saban getting pissed off at Jimbo for buying all the recruits with NIL and stuff like that. But this game, I mean, Alabama is a 24-point favorite. Bryce Young is probably going to play either way. Texas A&M simply cannot score. They do not have a good quarterback. This game will very likely not be close at all. It is college football. You never know. But CBS has got to be pretty pissed that they used their primetime slot. When you take a look at a game like Tennessee at home against Alabama in a few weeks, that should be the primetime game, not this one. This is a 24-point spread, and this is your primetime game. Ouch. Ouch. Breakout player watch. I love Marvin Mims. I love him versus Texas. As long as Dylan Gabriel plays, we know he had that nasty hit. We'll see. Marvin Mims, I think, is going to catch 2 really long touchdowns against Texas. I think Oklahoma covers the 7-point spread. These games are always close. It's a rivalry with Quinn Ewers back. This is going to be a really good game. I couldn't call this the under the radar game because everyone's still going to watch it, even though both teams are unranked. But people are still kind of underrating how good this game's going to be. I think because Oklahoma's gotten crushed. But that's college football. A team gets crushed one week. The next week they come back, they played well. We'll see how Brett Venables responds. He's in danger, of really starting off bad if they lose this game. That's a tough Big 12 too. They could lose 5 or 6 games in Brett Venables' first year. Oh my goodness. Highest scoring game, I'm going Texas, Oklahoma. It's always really high scoring. Oklahoma's a team, they can't defend anyone right now, but they do have offensive, skill position playmakers. Texas possibly getting Quinn Ewers back. You could be looking at like a 44-41 type game. It always seems like they're really high scoring, at least recently. The lowest scoring game, how can we pick anything else? It's got to be Iowa at Illinois. Illinois on paper has one of the best defenses in college football. Add to that Iowa has the worst offense in college football, or at least Power 5. It's going to be very low scoring. The models currently project a spread of 32.5. Vegas's spread is at 35.5 right now. Just crazy. Historic lows for Iowa football. Under the radar upset, I'm going with Arizona over Oregon. And guys, I've got 3 words for you when it pertains to this game. Trust Arizona football. Remember when I said trust Chip Kelly? This is the same type of thing. I always get these right. Trust Arizona football at home against Oregon. They've been scoring a lot of points. They got a transfer quarterback who's an absolute superstar. That's going to be a crazy upset. They're like 13-point underdogs right now. They are at home in that one. Next, we've got the biggest question. Can Kansas continue their Cinderella run? Yes, they get College game day. They get a noon game at home versus a TCU team who's really hot. The spread is TCU -7. Everyone's in on TCU. They think TCU is going to cover. Can Kansas pull off another upset? And could you imagine if they do, they'd move into the top at least 15 at that point if they beat TCU at home. What a major season Kansas has had, to the point where they're hosting game day as an undefeated team, facing another undefeated team. So that's a very big game, 2 ranked teams. Weather games, we've got some significant thunderstorms in the UConn at FIU game. I would take the under. There's going to be massive rainfall throughout the entire game. They're getting hit with the remnants of Hurricane Ian that is kind of coming back down, and they're getting some rain. That's how that works. The next thing, we got the weirdest matchup. So this is a very cool matchup. Army at Wake Forest. Both of the teams have very similar color schemes, and it is a unique matchup. Army on the road at Wake Forest in Week 6. You're not used to seeing something like that, and it's a 7:30 game as well. And I think Army is going to be very competitive in this game. They're going to cover the 16.5-point spread, guys. Army will. The dullest matchup, Wisconsin at Northwestern. Wisconsin fires their head coach. They've got Jim Leonard there. It's going to be a defensive game. I've got the under 44. But yeah, this is going to be a very dull matchup. Sneaky shootout, Toledo at Northern Illinois. So guys, this game opened at 59. It's been bet up. The over-under, I think, is 60 right now. I love the over. Toledo has the best quarterback in the MAC. Northern Illinois is coming off an absolute shootout. They play high-scoring games. There's going to be a lot of points scored in this Toledo, Northern Illinois. It's going to be a typical afternoon MAC game. For the Heisman statement, I'm going to go Hendon Hooker at LSU. On the road against a team that's currently ranked 25, there is a legitimate chance to make a statement, and Tennessee's got major games upcoming. This could be a nice entrance for him into the Heisman race. If he plays really well, then you got the game against Alabama. Then you got the game against Georgia. This could be his introduction, because right now we've got C.J. Stroud, we've got Caleb Williams. Who's that third guy? Bryce Young gets injured. His odds are moving down. Can Hooker be that third guy that enters the Heisman conversation with a really good performance at LSU? I think it can happen. Game that I'll never watch. We're going Duke at Georgia Tech. This game actually might be on ESPN 3. So I'm not going to watch it anyway. I mean, it's, a boring game. I think Georgia Tech's going to win this game outright. I think Georgia Tech they've got energy now. After firing their head coach, they beat Pittsburgh on the road. They're coming home. It's a parity game. Duke is not going to 5-1, folks. Let's be real. It's not happening. Weird fact, Oklahoma versus Texas is the only Big 12 matchup between unranked teams. So every matchup in the Big 12 this week involves at least one ranked team, except for this game. Which is funny because this might end up being the best game, one of the best games of the day. Just goes to show you that. And then next we have the low-key important game. Absolutely, BYU, they're not at Notre Dame. This is a neutral site game. Let me make sure everyone knows this game is being played in Vegas at the Raiders Stadium. The Death Star, I think they call it. But guys, if Notre Dame can win this game like I expect them to, they're going to resurrect their season. They're going to move back inside the top 25. People overreacted to Notre Dame losing to Marshall. We all know it was a bad loss. We get it. Let's move on. Let's get over it. They were competitive against Ohio State. They destroyed a good North Carolina team. That's North Carolina's only loss. And if they beat BYU, I think they do. BYU currently ranked. This Notre Dame team, listen, this is a good football team. I don't like Notre Dame. I'm just saying this is a good team after watching them and what they did to North Carolina. I'm really, really impressed with that team right there. They're going to beat BYU. Game I hate for some reason. Houston at Memphis. I'm just sick of hearing about Houston football. I'm just sick of it. I'm done with Houston. Betting lock, Ohio, -11 versus Akron. That's a 2 o'clock game. Akron is horrible at football. Ohio is good enough. I think Ohio wins this game like 40-17. Also, I would say Buffalo over Bowling Green. I think Buffalo is 1-point favorites. They're a lock to beat Bowling Green. They were actually underdogs, and they just changed to being favorites. I have no idea what's going to happen. We're going to say Texas, Oklahoma. I know a lot of people think Texas is going to win because Oklahoma's trending down. But guys, with college football, expect the unexpected. Oklahoma could very easily come out and win this game. That's just how college football works. Once you watch enough college football, you're numb to all of these casual people saying, "Oh, Oklahoma can't win. They just looked like they looked terrible against TCU." Guys, when you watch enough college football, you're just numb to all of it, and you're like, "Listen, dude, I know it doesn't make sense, but listen, this is the type of stuff that happens." Biggest blowout, Liberty at UMass. UMass is terrible, and UMass is actually coming off a near upset win against Eastern Michigan, so I think UMass is due for an absolute beatdown. Liberty is underrated. Did Liberty almost beat Wake Forest? I think they did. Yeah, they were close. That's right. They went for 2 at the end. They could have been in overtime against Wake Forest. This is a good Liberty team. This game's got 49-7 written all over it, folks. 49-7. Parity game. Louisiana Tech, who's currently 1-3, beating UTEP, who I believe is actually currently 3-3. And you say, how can UTEP be 3-3? It's week 6. Well, they played week 0. That's how. But UTEP is going to go to 3-4. Louisiana Tech's going to go to 2-3. And we get a little bit of parity right there. Louisiana Tech's due for a win. Take Louisiana Tech -2 against UTEP. UTEP is terrible. They're due for a horrible offensive performance. Game most like the NFL. We're going Virginia Tech at Pittsburgh. Again, games like this, we're talking about low-scoring, close games. Virginia Tech is +14. I think they cover that spread. Pittsburgh is just a walking eyesore at this point. And you got to feel bad for Pittsburgh with the whole Jordan Addison situation. You do. Lowest ratings. So this game will not get the lowest ratings, but it's just crazy. If you guys don't know, if you tune in to the big ABC 7:30 game on Saturday, it's Clemson at frickin' Boston College. That's the ABC 7:30 game. I know it's not going to get the lowest ratings out of every game, but in terms of, I would say, I don't know what they were thinking. Even something like Ohio State, Michigan State would, even though Michigan State's a dumpster fire, I feel like that would do better. I don't know if this was a gaffe by ABC, ESPN networks. How is this game? And it makes it even weirder because apparently Herb Street is calling the 4 o'clock Ohio State Michigan State game. So why not just put that at 7? I don't know what they're thinking. It's just, so if you, guys, at 7:30, you're probably not going to want to watch ABC. I do think Boston College might cover that spread, though. They're 20-point underdogs, and they played well last week. They thoroughly beat Louisville. I know they only won by 1 point, but if you actually look at the game and the advanced numbers, they were expected to win that game by 18 points over Louisville. So guys, Boston College, I would take them +20 at home against Clemson, who's coming off an emotional win versus, NC State. But still, it would make so much sense for the Clemson-Boston College game to be at 3:30 on ABC and the Ohio State-Michigan State game. I know it's a 25-point spread. I get it. But I'm just saying, in terms of, Boston College versus Michigan State, which team would you rather want on primetime? Ohio State versus Clemson, which team? I don't think it makes sense. I don't know if they I think they messed up. Like, there's no way this game should be at 7:30 on ABC. But I've talked about that long enough, guys. That is my college football week 6 survival guide. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.